Hi, it's Jasmin. You know, that girl who did you know what way before the internet ever existed. Join me and my special guest every week as we talk about anything and everything because nothing is too taboo. So punch your ticket and get on board the Krazy train with me, Jasmin St. Clair. All aboard! Welcome to a brand new week of Krazy Train with Jasmin St. Clair. Today's guest, or this week's guest, is one of my favorite gimmicks of all time in the WWE and one of the coolest people I've ever seen at the wrestling conventions. You might know him as Papa Shango or the GodFather, but he's right about one thing. Pimping ain't easy. Thank you so much for joining me today. I know wrestling fans know you from so many different things, from Papa Shango, and my favorite gimmick of all time is the GodFather. It was. I always wanted to be on the hoe train, by the way. How did you pick the hoes every night?
Well, first, thanks for having me on the show. It's an honor to be on the show with you guys. Um, at first, when we started it, first of all, that was my wife's idea. That whole Godfather thing was my wife's idea. And when we first started it, we were trying it out without any girls. And then Vince, we did it 2 or 3 times in the house show. By the time we made it to TV, Vince thought, hey, Charles, this might have some legs to it. So he's like, do you think you can get me some girls? And so me and Taker and the Harris boys, Ron and Don Harris, we went to the strip club that we were at the night before and got some of the girls, put them on TV, and it took off after that.
Yeah, it looked like a lot of fun. I actually met one of your hoes, Bobcat, when I was working for Jerry Lawler in Tennessee, but she actually ended up having like a real career in wrestling after that. Electra was a hoe, right?
Yes.
Donna. See, so there were girls that actually got wrestling careers out
Oh,
of being
look
a
at Lita.
hoe.
Lita was a hoe.
Was she a hoe?
Lita, look it up. Lita was one of the hoes. Victoria was one of the hoes. Ivory was one of the hoes. See,
Really?
back then, we had a lot of girls that could actually wrestle, but they had nobody to wrestle against, and so they'd put them on TV. They have Molly Holly tells a story about how she just told them no. They're like, well, we don't have nothing for you, but if you want to be one of Godfather's hoes,
Well, I'm kind of jealous because I was hoping to one day be on the hoe train, but you never know. Maybe they bring the gimmick back for one night, and I want like that one chance to do it. Like that's the only time.
if we do, we're gonna have to talk about it.
Absolutely. And I know that you were also a part of Right to Censor. Do you think that's something that would actually be able to be on TV these days just because of cancel culture and everything else going on in the universe?
They might be baby faces these days. I don't know. Yeah, you can get away with it. You can easily get you can get away with that, and the nation just make the nation baby faces. You can get away with both of them, probably.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell with wrestling these days, where things are and where people's heads are at. Do you still follow a lot of indie wrestling or do you watch it anymore?
No, no. I always tell people I have respect for the business, love the business, made a lot of good friends, made some money in the business, but I don't follow it anymore. Nothing against it. I just tell people that I was lucky enough and proud to be part of the Attitude Era and the part that I was part of.
Yeah, I think that was probably the best part of wrestling was the Attitude Era. One of the best eras ever, I think.
It was
Hopefully.
wild.
Going back to that whole era, is there something you would have liked to have done that they did not do? Did you ever come in with creative ideas?
Only time I did that was as Godfather. Because like I said, that was me and my wife's idea. They really didn't know what to do with it. And we kind of, one thing about Godfather, she was not scripted at all. I mean, I knew what the finish was, what the match was. But other than that, man, it was all up to me. Only time I was scripted is if I had to mention a town, an event, or like I at the end, I think I interfered in some weddings. But other than that, man, I was allowed to say and do whatever I wanted to say.
Oh man, the good old days when we could do whatever we want to and it could be the wild, wild west. on
Ooh.
stage. Well, I noticed how you got your start was working at a bar and then meeting wrestlers, et cetera, et cetera. Let's say you never met any wrestler that got you into this or thought, or like maybe told you it's a good idea to try it. What would you be doing? Do you think you'd still be at a bar working? You think you'd open up a strip club, clothing
Um,
store?
no telling, man. I mean, I've always worked in the strip club business, and I was part owner of Cheetahs here in Las Vegas all that time, and that's why you'd see me come and go. I'd have probably, maybe more involved in the cannabis business because I would have had more time. I probably would have tried to get more involved in that.
Well, you've done so much with your life, and there's so many wrestlers that are out there that have not, like maybe your age, a couple of years younger or older, that have not done nearly as much as you have. I noticed that you were involved in catch wrestling. I have this love hate thing with catch wrestling only because there's a wrestler. I don't think you wrestled with this guy's father, but there was a wrestler who tried to go out with me, and I needed a cat sitter that weekend. I was out doing my own thing. I was wrestling for someone else that weekend. I came back, and this guy's like wrestling on a hardwood floor in my apartment with some other guy, and they said it was catch wrestling. So I'm still trying to bongle around my head. Like, what is the difference between catch wrestling and what we see in pro wrestling? And I don't speak to him anymore, by
I
the way.
I have no idea what they were doing in your room. That sounds something else. Catch wrestling in Germany, wrestling is called catch. That's the
Okay.
phrase for it's called catch wrestling is professional wrestling. Um, Only thing at the time, back when there was catch wrestling for Big Otto Vaughn's, God rest his soul, you'd go. It was a good place for the boys to go. In 1988, let me tell you who was there. I was there. Scott Hall was there. Chris Benoit was there. Owen Hart was there. Fit Finley was there. Dave Taylor was there, and we were all there for 8 months. You wrestled in rounds instead of it was rounds you wrestled in, and catch was just the name of it. It was that's what the sport was in Germany. It was called catch. You instead of a wrestler, you were a catcher.
Getting back to the whole strip club business, I remember Cheetahs from back in the day in the 90s. Is that how far back you were working there as well at Cheetahs?
Yes, yes,
Did
yes.
you have features there?
Um, I'm trying. We had features for a moment, but it just didn't. I mean, we went with the features and the midget girls and all the other features, and it didn't catch on in Vegas back then. That was more of a southern thing in Florida and back south, and it was the features were more over there than they were in Vegas. I think in Vegas between the showgirls and all the shows, the features just didn't get over here.
Yeah, I just remember hearing something about that a while back. I think I did work once at Spearmint Rhino when they opened up the first night. Let me tell you, I was the most miserable person in that club because it was these crappy little like pink and white energy drinks
Right,
and some kind of vodka. The thing tasted like shit. Then you go out there. It was a good crowd, right? But then the girls, I'm like, man, it's like try to smile or something, just like it was so I was just it was a horrible weekend. It was just a horrible time to be there because I think it's usually the club when girls aren't like busy on the floor, then they just sit around like all mopey because everyone's
right.
there for the feature and not everyone likes that. What do you think is the hardest part of running a strip club? Because that's a long time to be in that whole
Do
business.
you know the businesses? I started off in the business in 1982, 83 here in Vegas, and the business has changed so much that, to be honest, I don't even want to be a part of it anymore. People have changed, the girls have changed, customers have changed. It's not. It became a point. It was business for me, but it became a point where it wasn't fun, and I was tired of dealing with that that type of situations. Just say that.
Yeah, I don't know how you'd have the patience to deal with the girls, man. Like if I had to deal with that shit, I was a house mom once for like a whole hot 2 weeks when I lived in Europe. I was fired, but um well, when they have the champagne rooms and stuff, it's like, it's really expensive and it's just the whole mentality of the guys that go in there, right? And it was
Right.
such a tough job to even like man girls and like man the guys so everyone's like on the same page of respect.
One thing I've always been fortunate enough is I was always the general manager or the manager. One thing I was never, except in '83 for a very short time, I was a bouncer bartender. But I've never been a bouncer. I wasn't ever a bouncer. I was never a floorman. I was always in management. Or, like I said, a short point, I was a bartender and a manager and a doorman. You're all at once. But yeah, I really never had to deal with the girls' managers and stuff. I had to deal with that. I was lucky enough to they'd come to me when they got fired,
Let
trying
us
to get
back,
their job
please.
back. So I really never had to really deal with that part.
And would you say that there were different styles of wrestling versus like what we do in the US? Like I just came back from Japan. There are a lot of death matches there. And I guess our version of that here is like white trash wrestlers beating each other over the head with light tubes. So it's kind of different in a way what we're doing. Versus there, they seemed a lot more stiff with things. And you're saying you wrestled in Germany. Did you find it was different over there than here in the States?
Back then, like I said, you're going back a long ways with me. Back then, it was a lot stiffer, but it was cool to go to Japan. Germany wasn't stiff. That was, we're pretty light over there. Japan, New Japan, all Japan back then it was stiff, but we liked it that way. It was cool with me. It was never a problem with me. So, what they do today and for what they get paid for what they do, it's pretty insane to me. I'm not for it, or nor do I want to watch it.
Yeah, it's
I
like
mean,
a whole,
these
huh?
guys are putting their lives in jeopardy for $50 and shit. So I'm gonna have
Or
to pass
less.
on all that.
Yeah, and there's like no health insurance. I get squeamish around blood, and I had no idea that I stepped into like a blood wrestling company, and like you're standing there ringside. Someone like Necro Butcher is there. I'm like, dude, I don't know how you do this. Just it's sad, and you see like the busted open cuts. Did you ever have a really bad wrestling injury that you were afraid you might not recover from?
No, I'm just broken collarbones, cracked ribs, ankles, stuff like that. Just your normal stuff.
I think you're one of the few people I see at these conventions that has a long line all the time, but you're definitely the sharpest dressed guy there for sure with your different gimmicks and so forth. I don't understand why people didn't like the Papa Shango. Like some people didn't like Papa Shango. Did you like the Shango gimmick versus the Godfather or any other gimmick you had?
You can't compare anything to the Godfather because the Godfather is just me being me. It's just me being me. Papa Shango was a stretch because at that point I was the hardcore biker, but I did the best I could. But you know, um, I didn't like the face paint, the upkeep, the smoke that you had to smell every night, the skulls. I didn't like. It was a very high maintenance gimmick, very high maintenance, and you had to carry a lot of stuff and special effects, and yeah, I mean it was a handful. I was when we finished it up, I wasn't too sad about it.
Yeah, I like the gimmick. Like I remember seeing bits and pieces of it here, but I always remembered you as the Godfather and of course the right to censor. How did you get looped into the whole right to censor gimmick?
That's when Vince was coming off of cable TV, going to the network. They were calming everything down. You were mentioning Val Venus earlier. I mean, I tell people, dude, this is what Val Venus used to say. You think my shit's bad? Check out what Val used. This is some stuff Val used to say, and
Really?
they were getting rid of all that. And Vince would tell me at every TV, man, Vince would say, "Charles, I'm fighting for you, brother. I'm fighting for you." But I mean, they were they were after the DX and the Suck It and the puppies, and they were kind of starting to go more PG, so they had to filter all that down. And one of the worst was Val and me, because I'm calling girls hoes. I'm trying to sell girls on TV. I'm calling them hoes. I'm telling people to smoke weed. I'm offering, I'm doing a lot of stuff that's not accepted today on TV. And so it got to the point with my character where I couldn't be on Saturday morning. I couldn't be on morning TV. I couldn't be on till after 10 o'clock at night. I couldn't say nothing about smoking. And this was not Vince, this is the networks. I couldn't call the girls hoes. I couldn't say pimpin' ain't easy. They tried to make them, it just, they tried to make it Godfather light, make me an escort. It just, I mean, people wanted the Godfather, so that's what happened. Then Vince is like, hey, Vince basically wanted to poke fun at this PTC or whatever the name of the group was that was protesting against him. He called his group the RTC, and he basically wanted to poke fun at him for a while. But the night that he told me he's putting me in the RTC and that basically the Godfather wasn't coming back, man, I was ready to leave then.
Yeah, I was just thinking this day and age where they have this whole, and yeah, I'm not getting political. This is just me. So you could only imagine me with Val Venus. It went on for 2.5 hours that day with him because we kept going down all these rabbit holes together, but he started it. With this day and age of like feminism, you have these girls that claim empowerment. So a woman could claim her empowerment by wanting to be a hoe, number one. Number two, everyone smokes weed, especially cancer patients and people
Right?
that are really strung up sometimes. Like I get sometimes before a show. So you could use a hit off a joint. So that would be my argument for you. And with this fourth wave feminism, yes, girls want to be, they want to be proud of their bodies and like be sluts and whores and fucking hoes, whatever. So it's totally fine. I think you should bring the gimmick back. I know you guys came back, you came back a few times for WrestleManias here and there as well.
Right, right.
And that's
Hey,
probably the most over thing.
one of the reasons you don't see me, I mean, I'm still under a Legends contract with them and have been since 2003. But one of the reasons is they don't want the crowd chanting, "We want hoes, we want hoes." And if you put me out there without hoes, that's what's going to happen. So that's one of the reasons. Number two, I'm not really trying to get on TV no more. I'm not trying to get out there. I'm not trying to get locked into anything over there.
I can understand that because, like I said, you're one of the. My mom even knows who you are. I'll put it to you that way.
Wow, I guess that's good. My mom knows who you knows you.
Yeah, she does. Well, I used to see wrestling when I was a kid at Madison Square Garden. So, but the first pay-per-view I went to was the Hulk versus the Ultimate Warrior in Canada.
Okay.
So that was my experience as a kid. Then watching WWE and then eventually getting into the business and seeing your gimmick, I'm like, that's the coolest gimmick ever. Like that and Val Venus were the big Valboski, Hello Ladies. Those are my favorite gimmicks of all time. Maybe because they were just so controversial, you know?
That we were, and still are, especially Val.
What did you watch his YouTube station?
So I catch him sometimes. God bless him, man. I've known him for a long time, and I always just smoke with him. I leave the politics alone because that's when it gets boring, and so I just smoke with him.
Yeah, I have yet to try smoking something soon that doesn't like make my throat all scratchy. So one of these days I'll learn how to smoke out of one of those bongs. One day that is. Do you think you'll ever get back into the cannabis business, or is it overdone?
It is overdone. To make money these days, I mean, it's getting harder and harder because there's just so many products out there. There's so much this. Even if you do get your own strain, by the time you're done with it, you're not. It's just it's oversaturated. Unless you're starting up your own company or something, or starting up your own dispensary, with I'm not looking to do. You know, I think you'll still see me pop up and talk about how good it is for you.
I have the perfect business idea for you because we
Uh
talked
oh.
about Germany earlier. You're like, oh no, now what's she gonna do? So I had this idea a few years ago. My boyfriend told me I'd probably get busted, and he's right. So I said we could do it in Germany. They have brothels there, like a brothel that's 80 euros, all you could eat, drink, and fuck. So if you had the Godfather, the Godfather's whole heaven, right? And you charge these idiots, I mean, people, whatever, 150 euros a pop to come in, eat and drink and fuck all they want under the Godfather franchise, you could probably make money. You could
I
open a
love it. I'd
brothel
be
in
there all
Vegas.
dressed up in my purple, my green, all my. Hey, hey. I don't know the political side of it and what we'd have to do to get that on, but I like that idea.
Yeah, I met this 25-year-old Swiss banker the other day. He probably knows about all that stuff. He was too old to like hang out with me though, but I still have his card. I think it's a perfect idea is having a Godfather brothel and just living off of that legacy. Did they ever give you a hard time about using the names, or you told me earlier you own
No,
them?
I do now.
Oh,
We got them less than a year ago. They let a lot of names unprotected, and so even I'm still under contract with them. But I own I don't own WWE Godfather, but I own the Godfather and I own Papa Shango.
one of the few smart ones. Everyone else always has an issue. So one person wanted to do the show, but he'd have to use his real name. I'm like, oh, okay, that's interesting. So do you put that out there? What do people pay for?
I don't. I've never had an issue with them. They've never. I mean, I've even when I didn't own it, I had my own strain with insane. Be real and insane. Dr. Green Thumbs. Um, they've never messed with me. They've never messed with me, man. They're really cool with me. They don't ever mess with me, and I do a lot of stuff that use those names. And I'm fortunate enough that they just don't fuck with me.
Yeah, I don't think I would either, but I still am very serious about the brothel. To have one here where I live, it would be Brothel by the Sea, and it's right across the street from the ocean, right? Then I had this idea to have a sex doll brothel, where it's a sex doll instead of a human being. Then my ex said, if we do that, you'll probably get in trouble because, like, there's got to be some fine area of the law that someone gets off in a sex doll and it's like prostitution. I don't know. These laws are like too fucked up for me. I don't really follow them. So anyway, um, I know I go like a million different ways, but I just have these great ideas sometimes, and you bring them out. Do you do anything like when you're not working? Do you do anything like race motorcycles, race cars, anything interesting and fun? Mini
Um,
golf?
oh, mini golf. One of my favorite things I love is disc golf.
Oh,
You might call it frisbee golf, but it's called disc golf. Right now, I'm waiting to have my. And I'm right now. I'm setting up to have my left knee replaced in December, and so once I get that corrected, I'll be out there throwing again. But disc golf is a big thing of mine. I love to shoot guns. I belong to a members only gun club out here in Vegas, and I love to go out there and just, I have a lot of guns. I'm one of those guys that has a lot of guns. I just like to go out there and I don't hunt and I don't kill anymore. I just like to go out there and get my mind right. And one day it's shotguns, one day it's pistols, one day it's rifles. One day, I mean, I enjoy going out there shooting. Other than that, man, I just chill. We're empty nesters now. Me and my wife, all my kids are grown. I just like to chill at home, man. I'm at that point now where, I'm on the road so much that I'm on the road Friday till Sunday just about every week. So when I'm home, I'm just chilling. I ain't looking to do much.
well, on your Fridays to Sundays, is it wrestling gigs mostly, or is it those signings that I've seen you at?
It's signings. It's signings. This week, it's actually a wrestling show, and I'm signing before the show. And then at intermission, I'm going to go in there and pop the crowd with some girls and talk some shit. It's the signing Saturday. I leave tomorrow. I do the signing Saturday, but it's a late one, so I don't get back till Sunday. Next week, I'm in Baltimore. The week after that, I think I'm off. The week after that, I'm in Philadelphia. The week after that, yeah, I mean, yeah, it goes on and on. I
It's
just
like
booked the first two. I just booked the first week in London. I'm gonna be over in Europe for like 4 days doing shows.
when?
I go. I think this just happened. I think the ticket says I leave on the 8th of December, and I get back on the 14th. And so in between those, I do three shows where I don't know if they're wrestling shows. I know that I have like an hour signing as Papa Shango, and then like a signing later on in the show as Godfather.
See, that's the fun part of wrestling. But when I was speaking to Lisa Marie Veron, she said it's like a full time thing because it's really like a full day production to get dressed, right? And then
Yeah.
pack your stuff. So technically, when you leave, you've packed the day before, which is Wednesday. That's like a full day of work. I know that sounds crazy, people. But then you get on the plane. That's another full day. You get off London, you're going to be jet lagged, you know? And it's just all this that goes into it. So I hope that the fans, and I'm sure they will be very grateful to see you there. Hopefully they are. Like I hope so. Do you ever miss any aspect of this? Do you feel as though you missed out a lot of, your kids growing up by traveling all the time?
Oh, I mean, it goes to say that's part of the gig. But yeah, I mean, I missed a lot of birthdays and a lot of days, special days because of wrestling. But they made it through it all right, and they're all doing good, and everybody's cool. None of them are wrestling fans, but maybe that goes into that. But no, hey, it's a rough life. Not everybody can do it. I mean, it
Yeah,
tears up relationships and all types of stuff.
pimping ain't easy. I'm telling you.
Pimping ain't easy, man. Pimping ain't easy.
Now, what
You
kind?
talked about Lisa. I'll see Lisa Saturday. She's on the same show. I'm on
Where?
Saturday in Indy, in Indianapolis, someplace in Indy.
She's going to Indianapolis. Yeah, I felt bad for her because it's such a different market now for wrestlers to make money, who may not necessarily be doing indies all the time. Because people, do you sell clothes as well? Do you sell your worn
Nope,
boots?
nope. I just do wrestling wise. I do probably 3 appearances a month. I probably average that, and that's wrestling. That's conventions. Not really conventions. I stay away from those. Most of them are wrestling events or wrestling signings. I do
Yeah,
some cannabis stuff every now and then. But wrestling pays a little better than cannabis.
yeah, I would imagine. So I would think that people would want to buy some of your outfits because they're like the most ornate outfits ever. Like more ornate than gold dust, kind of.
um, yeah, I hang on to most of my stuff.
When I spoke to Lisa, she said it's just so different now because like people want to buy your clothes, they want to buy your ring worn gear. I see grown men buy like used underwear from deathmatch wrestlers, which is kind of creepy right there. It's just I don't know who buys it. I don't want to know, but it's such a weird like fetish. It's a whole other market out there for that type of stuff. Um, so what kind of messages do you have for people that actually want to get into wrestling, like these younger guys?
Like I said, it's the business has changed so much. I mean, I've been out of the business for 20 years, and the business has changed a lot. With indie shows and everything. When I came up, it was a lot different. There was territories. There was places that you could go work weekly, and learn your stuff. And now it's just you learn different. You're chosen different. You have to go to different avenues. I think the best advice would be old advice, such as learn as much as you can. Don't get stereotyped just because you're big or you're small or whatever it is you are. Try to learn as much as you can, and you listen to everybody, even if you don't agree with it or whatever your thoughts are, listen to them and try things. Don't be afraid to try things.
Have you been to a lot of shows where you see a difference in the type of wrestlers we're getting now than we used to have back then?
It seems that wrestlers today are a lot smaller, a lot more acrobatic, and there's a lot more spots. But God bless them, man. I'm just glad they're out there making money.
Because I know some guys that do the indies like you do, and I thought maybe in an indie show, maybe some of these younger kids like ask you, "Hey, could you watch my match? Could you give me some advice?" But I think you're spot on in saying people do a lot of spots and no storytelling.
Yeah, and usually, unfortunately, I'm usually on the wrestling shows. I'm usually gone before the show starts. I mean, it's usually my thing is before. And so usually afterwards, somebody's taking me to dinner or back to my hotel. So I don't. There is times when people ask me, I'll be like, bro, if I stayed, I would, but I'm leaving right after my part.
At least they ask, which
Oh
is
yeah, yeah. I'm like Plus, I don't know what to tell them. But the wrestling's different now than when I was there.
what you could tell them is, "Hey, don't quit your day job. Always have a backup plan because you're never going to be rich doing this shit."
Yeah,
And
right. Save your
yeah,
money.
I mean,
Don't quit your day job. Get a job with health insurance.
bingo. Did you have health insurance at WWE or did you have
When
it
you
your
were there, you had health insurance while you were there. So if you got hurt while you were there, they took care of it. But to be honest, I got hurt a few times. I had problems that weren't their fault that they took care of. So they took care of me. You
Yeah,
know, I don't. They're not going to take care of my knee replacement coming up here, but that's all right.
it's the worst. I had my ACL replaced. It was from playing tennis and it was
Right,
already torn. And then I was in an improv class and it snapped that day. Of all days in the middle of an improv class, you hear this, it sounds
oh,
like a real loud boom. And it was my ACL and my meniscus.
right.
But I have a bionic knee, like one side's stronger than the other. So it worked out okay. It wasn't full knee replacement. So, I commend you for that. You're in good shape. You seem healthy, so I bet you'll heal a lot quicker than I did.
Oh, I'm already gearing up for it, trying to lose as much weight as I can and get ready for it.
It'll be some nice time to stay at home then. Pleasant time off.
Yeah, my wife's gonna have to do everything. I told her she's gonna have to wipe my ass.
Oh my God. You can get one of those toilets, okay? The toilet seat with that little
No, she can
squirty
hear
thing.
you. Don't I don't want her to
No,
hear me.
I'm going to tell her. I'm going to find her because you can get one of those bidets. It's easy. I installed one. A friend of mine had a motorcycle crash. His ex, he broke both hands. I was not touching his ass. There's no fucking way. So, God, no. No, I sent out one of those things and I got it the next day. I installed it myself because I don't touch people's butts. Like, even if they want me, I just don't do that. Yeah. I'm sorry, but okay, I'm not Florence Nightingale, and I get that's your wife, but she'll learn about those. It's like those Japanese
She
bidets.
ain't about to fucking wipe my ass. She ain't about to.
Yeah, it's a bit much. It's like when you go there, it just changes the relationship between people. It's kind of like when someone starts farting and burping in front of you. It's like, okay, that is just disgusting. I can't do that. I'll burp in front of my friends though. So if people want to know where your appearances are and where to find you, how to stalk you,
The best way to get a hold of me is Instagram. I am the Godfather, one word with the little blue verification, and I'm pretty active on there. I'm also the WWF or E Godfather on Facebook, but they have me under lockdown all the time because you can't do anything with cannabis on Facebook. They'll lock you down. So, but I am very active on Instagram. If you follow me on there, you can find out everything I'm doing.
I don't get why they're so like why there's such Nazis about that because you have people fucking and sucking on Facebook, okay? In live videos. I've seen this before. You have explicit photos on Twitter. You have explicit things on Facebook. So cannabis, which is supposed to help cancer patients and also to help crazy people, there's blue collar, white collar people, then there's us, there's lunatics. So it's medicine, it's medicinal.
And I'm not trying to sell it. It just be you smoking it. I'm not trying. I'm not advertising selling it. And anyway, so I don't really mess with Facebook too much, but I'm active on Instagram.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's going to be great, and I'll look for you on Facebook anyway to see when you're in Facebook jail, not in Facebook jail, and
Oh, I
everyone else.
stay in
Huh?
Facebook jail. I stay in it.
You stay in it. They
Yeah,
banned
they
me
don't
for
let me
30
out.
days. Well, what are you doing on there? Just smoking?
I no, just I post things from it's I don't know. I don't even care. I don't even
Yeah.
want to mess with it. I really don't care.
You hear that, Mark Zuckerberg? He does not care.
Don't give a shit. Dude, I will get take it away all I care. I don't care. I don't fuck. As long as I can do my fun, have my fun on Instagram, I'm all right.
It's an interesting time now, especially with social media and people, getting followers and stuff like that. And a lot of people get acting jobs because of how many followers they have. I wonder if wrestlers have been hired because of how many followers they have.
Oh
And then,
yes.
are you kidding me?
Oh no, I'm not going to mention no names, but
I
yeah,
was
man. I used
joking.
to tell about I don't know 15 years ago. We used to tell people, you want to get a job with WWE, get 1 million followers. They'll hire you tomorrow.
That's
Oh,
serious?
I mean, social media is a big part of it now. Big part of it. I wish they had it when I was the Godfather. Man, I'd had 1 trillion followers.
Yeah, but that type of stuff lasts only for so long. And people could buy followers as well
Right.
and likes. So yeah, don't if you guys want to be a wrestler, do it the right way. Go to school, train like he did, train like I
Yep.
did. And don't go cutting your faces up because you'll probably not get hired by the WWE anytime soon because they don't like it if you have a shit ton of gig marks and you look like a Chinese
No,
roadmap.
and they're not going to do that there. They're not going
No,
to put that on TV.
yeah, it's too bloody and it's too scary. So thank you so much. I will see you at one of the conventions, and I will definitely try to smoke properly out of a bong sooner than later.
My pleasure, man. It's been fun.
Take care. Thanks again for listening or watching another episode of Crazy Train Podcast. And don't forget to visit betonline.ag, where that is the best place on earth to bet.